Welcome to day 7 of our school year. Let's go ahead and write down our beginning fraction. Our denominator is 180. It's the total amount. Total amounts go in the bottom. Total amount of our school year is 180 days. And we are on day 7. So let's go ahead and find the factors of 7. Remember, factors are the numbers that multiply to be this number. Two factors we always know are 1 and the number itself. And using that commutative property of multiplication, 7 times 1. Now we're going to go through our divisibility rules in an orderly fashion to make sure we don't miss anything. So the next rule is 2. And the rule for 2 is that it ends in an even number. 7 is odd, so 2 is not a factor. And if 2 is not a factor, no even number will be. So we only have to check odd numbers. So then we check 3. The multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9. 7 is not in that list, so 3 is not a factor. We try 5. The rule for 5 is that it ends in a 0 or 5. It does not end in a 0 or 5, so 5 is not a factor. Then we get to 7. We already have that down, so we're done. Let's list it from least to greatest. 1 and 7. That's exactly 2 factors. Exactly 2 factors is prime. We can check on our prime number sieve that it is circled. Okay, so what we want to do now is check to see if 7 works as our greatest common factor. So let's make our groups of 7. It does not matter what your groups look like as long as you have 7 in each group and you do not have any shaded with unshaded. Just keep all the shaded together and all the unshaded together. Your groups do not have to look like mine. Okay. Whatever strategy works for you to get it, that's what we want to use. Let's make sure there's 7 in each group. So I get down here and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left over. Do I have enough to make another group of 7? Nope. So 7 does not work. Cross that out. 7 is not a common factor. So that leaves 1. 1 is our greatest common factor. So let's make our groups of 1 and done. That shows all our groups of 1, because remember, if you're a group of 1, you're all by yourself. I don't need to put a box around it. It's already there. So how many total groups of 1 do we have? We have 180 total groups of 1. How many groups of 1 are shaded in? There are 7. So that is our simplest form. We can't simplify that anymore. Those are the lowest terms for that fraction. But we still want to prove it with our algorithm. We're dividing into groups of 1. Okay. So 180. So 1 times 100 is 100. Numbers the same, zeros a game, more on top, no need to stop. I always want to try to use pretty easy numbers for me to multiply. 80 times 1 is 80. Numbers the same, zeros a game. Add my partial quotients, 180. Okay, then 7. 1 times 7 is 7. Numbers the same, zeros a game. partial quotient is 7. Okay, now we need to check. Divisor times quotient plus remainder. That's our inverse operations for checking. We do not have to add this 0 because the identity property of addition says it's going to stay the same. And if it's going to stay the same, we don't need to worry about it. We also have 1 times 7 plus 0. The divisor times the quotient plus remainder. Again, we don't have to add that 0. And really, we don't have to multiply by 1 either with the same idea because these are the identity property of multiplication. When you multiply by 1, it stays the same. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 7 is 7. So those match our dividends. They check. So our numerator is definitely 7, and our denominator is definitely 180. All right, so now it's time to fill in our data collection page. Okay, trimester 1, week 2. Today's date is 8/16/19, and our fraction for today is 7/180ths. We have 7 as that prime number. That is not a common factor with anything in 180. Now you don't have to get your number line out because we did groups of 1. And so here is our fraction already on there, 7/180ths. There's no line underneath because there is no simplest form. That is the simplest form. We could make an equivalent fraction by cutting these up into smaller pieces if we wanted to. All right, let's go ahead and erase your worksheet. And thank you for joining me.